Episode 9, Season 3. Ting, ting. All right, I'm bugging. All right. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Rewind with Ro. I'm your host, Ro Carter. My amazing co-host,
Rob Smith.
Boom, in the house. Let's do it. We have a great movie today. We finally got to do it. Rob had some time, but we're doing Bob Marley One Love. So before we go into that, I want to catch up to Rob and see how his week was. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Living life, enjoying it. You know, life is good. I always say can't complain, but it's not can't complain, won't complain. How about that?
Okay, can't complain, won't complain. All right, that's good to know. Anything big coming up for you?
Going to the Oscars on Sunday.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Sorry,
Awesome.
Ro. Sorry.
Awesome. I can't wait for you to enjoy that. Have a good time.
Sorry, Ro. Sorry.
Had to win an award.
Sorry, Ro. I didn't mean to throw that in your face.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You know, some people are chosen and some people aren't. You know, it's like it's one of those things. It just happens. Anyway, moving right along. I'm really excited for this movie. I wanted to do it earlier in the month, last month, but things got a little crazy. So getting into the movie theater is not as easy sometimes. So if we can get something online, which I wish they would do more. I kind of missed the COVID times a little bit because you had access to everything versus like now, like I gotta go back to movie theaters and like I don't mind it, but I don't know. Anyway,
I've kind of interesting you say that. I've been enjoying the process of going to the movies and like being in a theater and having the big screen, the surround sound. It's a more enjoyable, exciting experience than sitting at home, just sit on the couch watching your TV. But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying hitting the theaters. What I don't like is that you end up spending like $90. So,
well, what you got to do? So you got to get the AMC deal, which is $25 a month. Yeah, and then they get you though is because you still spend $20 on like all the goodies and stuff. Or you can really, really hood and just bring your stuff in underneath, I remember my cousin back in the day, he brought in a bag of chips, like a big bag of chips. And you can hear him. I'm like, really, bro? He was like, yo, what? You want some or not? I was like, you know what? You're right.
You can smell the flaming hot Cheeto dust.
And I'll never forget when I went to see Black Panther, the first one that came out. I took my niece and nephew. And somebody had a 40 old school. Oh no, sorry. This is not sorry. Sorry. That was not for Black Panther. That was for it was for Waiting to Exhale. Sorry, Waiting to Exhale. And someone had a 40, and you can hear the 40. They dropped it, and you hear it rolling like woo, 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 and then and I was like, come on, man.
It burst.
Yeah, but you hear that, that roll of Big Bob. And I was like, no, and we're all like, no, and then
oh man, can you imagine being a person sitting right next to
where? Yeah, and then you got the smell of old English all on your feet, and then you're the person quiet, like, hey, it wasn't me. I don't know who did it. Anyway, so moving right along, really excited to do this movie. This movie came out last month. It's doing really well in theaters. Actually, when I went, there was actually people still going. So that's good things. It's gotten a lot of hate, and that's because you have a British dude taking another role of a black man, and people are just aren't happy with Jamaicans in general. I've been hearing a lot of that, but I always ask, did you see it, right? And so 9 times out of 10, people are like, no, I didn't see it, but I heard and I'm like, come on, man. So I really love the performance. I'm gonna get into right now. Basically, it's a biopic that takes place in 1976, where we see a young Bob Marley and his band, the Wailers, seek to unite a divided country going through a fierce political division in Jamaica. They figured that they can bring it all together through their music, right? And that's what Bob Marley was really about. It's like bringing everybody together. In this film, though, we learned so much about Bob, the man, in terms of like he has to deal with his relationship with his wife, his children, writing one of the greatest albums of all time, basically almost being assassinated, bringing Jamaica together, skin cancer, his religious faith, and also the ups and downs of running a band where you always have to worry about where's the money coming from and where's it going. And so we've seen these biopics over and over again. And with okay,
what are you doing? Making beer over there, bro?
No, that wasn't me. I was like, that was you. Okay, somebody jumped in with a red stripe. So it was really interesting to see him deal with all these different levels, and I was like, wow, 26, he dies as 36. So to go through all that in that time frame, it's a lot to put on your plate. But I thought about me, and I always wondered, I was like, 26, what was I doing at 26? Yeah, I was doing nothing in my life. This man is doing so much more. So one, what did you think about the movie, Rob? And what did you know about Bob going into this?
I'll say this first. I agree with you. I've been hearing a lot of people say really negative things about the film. And I don't understand this idea that if you make a biopic about someone that they have to be from the state they're from, they have to speak their language, they have to do, these are actors. Like, this is our job. We're supposed to take on the responsibility of creating a character. And if his family felt strongly enough about Kingsley, then I think that we should accept that, and we should watch it with, with the care that they put into the story. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a biopic, so of course we're gonna want to know, like, from when he was born to when he died. That's what everybody is expecting to be shown. And of course they sprinkle in like some pieces of his lineage from when he was a child to, his teenage years, his formative years when he was by himself. And then, of course, like you said, we see him as an adult forming the band and finding his fame and success, and then going on to be like this kind of symbol of political hope for Jamaica. So I thought that they did a great job with it. I did not know what to expect, but I was happy with the outcome. And this is another situation where I was kind of like, oh, I've been hearing all this bad stuff. I want to go see it. So I was like, let me peel myself off the couch and go see it. But I was really, really happy I did, because I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So the one thing I will say, I compare every biopic to Ray when it's in music. Elvis and Ray, even Elvis has his own politics as well. But I thought Elvis and Ray were really, those are my pinnacles for like well done. No, just for me personally.
How What's Love got to do with it?
I liked it. No, but I'm saying nowadays would still. No, again, I'll even say what was the one? The guy from Queen.
What's Love got to do with it? That's the one you should be naming.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Classic, but you could do it better now. I'm sure you can do it better now. I'm just saying, up at the times and stuff. What? It was great. We're not even gonna go there right now. We'll talk about that. Relax. We'll talk about that. Relax. It's good.
Don't come for Angela Bassett.
I'm not. She was in that. Anyway, point is, when I watch something like this, I kind of want to learn about how you create the music, right? And so we don't see that until later when he's doing Exodus. But I heard the classic song. So basically, the soundtrack is amazing, right? Because it's all Bob, it's all the hits. And so I was a little disappointed because I was hearing the hits throughout the movie, and I wanted to learn like how that song got made. I Shot the Sheriff. I got like all these kind of things. Like, I was hoping there was going to be a great story behind that story, right? And that's what I was like. I was like, okay, so I'm just hearing the music to hear the music. But remember, like in Ray, you were like, oh, I see them now. They're practicing. Oh, and now, boom, real time. And I kind of like got spoiled, and that's what I think I want when I go into this. But I kind of like their own spin on this. Like you said earlier, they go back and forth to when he's a young kid, his relationship with his wife. Shout out to the cast, by the way. The cast is, listen, there's two parts in this movie where Rita Marley, played by Lashana Lynch, and Bob Marley, played like Kingsley Ben-Adir, they have an argument, and she gets into, when I tell you, she puts her foot up in she checked him, and that was one. That was like Oscar-worthy moment right there. When I saw that, I was like, damn. I was like, okay.
That was sucking them teeth. She got it.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh. Seriously. That was deep right there. And shout out to,
they were excellent, by the way, in the comments, and I agree, they were excellent.
Yeah, and then Bob Marley, when he played Bob Marley, he got deep about what he wanted to do for the people and kind of doing that. There's some great moments in this film where you really feel for the characters, and you want to be there. And I listen. The only regret I have for tonight doing the show, I was knocking my brain because I was like, who can I know that knows somebody that saw Bob live? Because I had the pleasure of seeing Ziggy live in New York 3 years ago. And when I tell you, he was a tribute to his dad. And I can't even imagine what Bob would be like. Because Ziggy, I felt like I was transported to the island. I've been to Jamaica before. I felt like I was transported to the island and there was nothing but love. And it was a sea of every demographic, you know, especially in New York. And everybody just came out, everybody's high as a kite. But everybody just came out and showed love. And that's what, just imagine that time. Like if you told me he was trying to bring people together, I was like, well, that's what Bob's synonymous for. And I was like, no, he wasn't. It seemed like MLK, right? It was like, listen, he was a civil rights leader and now we love him. But back then they didn't love that dude. And so you kind of see that in real time. Like, oh, wow, Bob had to earn that. And you always think like Bob automatically came out the womb, like, we love you, Bob. And this is what's going on, you know? So it was really interesting to see that kind of dynamic and to see how powerful he was. And also how he kind of self-checked himself every now and then, you know, understanding that one scene. And again, I don't want to give everything away, but when he confronts the guy who tries to assassinate him, let me tell you something, Rob. Let me tell you something. I thought about this a million times. I don't know if I can forgive, but if I was able to forgive, you definitely get a smack upside your head, though.
You gonna get a smack?
Like, yeah, no. When he gave him a hug, I would, you know, you do your Ross Clark moment. Oh, you know, definitely one of those. That's all I'm saying. But I digress.
100%.
Right?
100%. No, but I think to your point, I thought it was also as I was sitting there, I was like, I hope that we can see more stories like this for people who are legends in our life, from music to entertainment to politics, because I feel like this generation that's coming after us, you know, are the people who for us were like legends and big when we were coming up are starting to fade away. So I think like making movies like this is so important, because we get to see the power that, and which is interesting to me, we get to see the power of like the arts, and how the arts quite often in the past, musicians, actors were the people who really moved the needle from a political perspective, especially for people of color. Because you have people like Aretha Franklin and Bob Marley and these people who were really activists, and they were, the activism outside of their music was just important as it was inside of their music, just as important in their life as their music was. But we don't really often get to hear that side of their story. So I think it's so important to make movies like this so that we just don't think it's a fun song for entertainment, but this man was really fighting for, you know, the liberation of Jamaica. And so I think it's so important that we keep telling these stories and keep the name and the music and the experience of these icons going.
Rob, have you ever been to Jamaica?
I have not.
Really? Okay. I've been in the Grill. So you land in Montego Bay, and then any other island outside of Montego Bay, you're in this crazy like bus for like 2 hours, which is crazy in the middle of nowhere, and it's very sketchy. Hello, thank you, Martha. Tell me your experience.
Yes, let us know.
And so I went to the Grill, and the reason I bring this up is, let me know if you can give me an artist where you could hear this artist's song music all week long and not be like, come on, I'm done with this music right now. Like, you hear Bob in Jamaica 24/7. Every version of Bob under the sun. His song, but then maybe another guy did it, another person did it, his son did it. But every version of it, but it's still Bob. And I'm like, by the third or fourth day in Jamaica, I'm like, wow, I don't think there's any other artist that I could listen to him 24/7 and not be like, turn this thing off, I'm gonna lose my mind. And so that just, again, I'm paying tribute to what his music did. And I remember, listen, my uncle gave me Bob Marley and the Wailers CD. I remember I would go to sleep. You had 13 songs on it, and I knew these 13 songs like nobody's business. I literally had the Walkman, the CD player. Put it on CD player on my chest. And that's what you did. You could skip this. This one could skip to the kids that don't know what that is. You can skip this song and kind of do that. But you had to listen, you know, and you really felt the music. I went to sleep to it, but I was in a good energy and a good mindset. And I didn't really know that much about Bob, but I was like, oh, I think he had something like, I remember they said like, oh, one of his dreads, he got like something happened with his brain, and then he wound up dying. So I think they put two stories into one when I was a kid. So his wife gets shot in the head, and so I think that if they infused that with him dying, like the same thing. When I was a kid, that was a story I heard. Oh, he got shot in the head and his dreads, and the dreads, I guess, rotted or whatever, and then he wound up getting a brain tumor or something. And I was like,
that's what they said in the movie about the wife too. When she thought, they said her dread stopped the bullet from.
That's what so I was like, oh, when you as a kid, you're like trying to figure out what a story is, and because people don't really tell you, just hear it or you hear it in the news and passing by. Because it's a tough conversation, right? To talk about somebody of that level, of that stature, and be like, hey, when he passed, this is what he means to me, this is what he means to us. But I don't even think they could even convey that message because you didn't know what Bob really was unless you were from Jamaica, right? So again, I really love this movie. You really get to experience his life, and I want you want to go to Jamaica right after, man. They did it's amazing. So listen, Jamaica is beautiful. I will just warn you, you have to travel to get to those other beaches that you want to go to. And it is very interesting. When you go to one of those hotels and like everybody's jumping on the car, and then you get to the hotel, you're like, okay, we all right. It's just one of those places. But really well done. I want to go into some things. Were there any moments that stood out to you?
I don't know. I just thought it was overall.
Well, that you learned about his life a little more that you had no clue about whatsoever.
I'm trying to think of. No, I mean, there was nothing that was. To what you mentioned earlier, I actually felt like they did do, which was we got to see those moments where like he was like crafting a song and writing a song. And his wife would come out and be like, when did you write that? And then he'd be like, oh, I'm just, coming up with it. But he would like come up with the melody.
Yeah, that moment was great when you saw them jam and Exodus. Yeah. But my point was when I was saying that was there were so many classics. Yeah, there was so many. I wanted to hear them all, right? I wanted to hear. Yeah. I'm like, I really want to know what's the story behind I Shot the Sheriff. I want to know that.
But I did. I really enjoyed that experience of kind of like seeing him like come up with the idea of like infusing electric guitar into the music or doing this or like coming up with
that was good. That was a good intro
to evolve the music. And also the way that they depicted him, he really wasn't concerned about the financial gain of the experience more than he was like really wanting people in Africa to experience his music. It wasn't about the money. He wanted to bring his sound there so they could experience him live, or he wanted to, like, he really cared about just sharing the sound of his music, which I thought was really dope. I love the way that they did that. Go ahead.
And that's, and leading into that is like, there's always a white man behind every successful black man. I was like that one. I was like, how the hell did this happen? Like, it's crazy to me. Crazy to me. And then once again, these labels don't understand what the artist wants to put out. Yeah. We need to make shows here. No, my friend, you're not listening. I need you to believe in the artwork. I need you to see the vision. And it's so crazy. I guess it's easier now because we're looking at all these films from when it happened, right? So 70s, 80s, and you're just like 60s, and you're just like, oh, they didn't get it. They didn't even understand you have a voice. Like they didn't know you had a vision, right? That's crazy when the people that are hiring you for a job and are going to invest in you, they don't even know what you're capable of still. You still have to prove them right. It doesn't matter how many records you sell. It's like, nah, I don't. That's not the way we want to go. Not the direction we're looking for. I'm like, you don't know what the people want, right? At the end of the day, that's why we have the crap ass music that we have right now, refurbished 4 times over. That's it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and I don't know if you were going to want to talk about this later, but if you don't mind me bringing it up, a lot of the people who've been critiquing the movie are having like this bad taste in their mouth for the movie. They were like, he was an adulterer and he had all these kids and from different women and he did it and that. I wish they would have showed him as a horrible. I'm like, why is that what you wanted this movie to be about when it was really focused on, his efforts to use his music to unite people? And I think that's what his music still does. Like, so for that, and I think they did show it enough. They sprinkled it in just enough for us to understand. We saw the kids running around. We heard she brings it up when they're having the fight in Paris. Like we hear the conversation enough to know. We see the people lurking around, the women waiting for him outside of hotels. So we see those things happening, but I don't think we needed like multiple sex scenes with him with different women. Like, I just don't think that would have served the movie in any kind of way. So I know his family was really closely attached to making sure the film showed him in the way they wanted it to be. But I think that was a good choice. We didn't need to see him doing those things because it was already discussed enough in the film.
I think they tried to make him out like he was R. Kelly. He wasn't R. Kelly. If you relax,
right?
No, seriously. Like you're like, oh, let's bring this up. I'm like, no, it wasn't that serious. I mean, unfortunately, every artist kind of goes through those ups and downs of like, hey, I'm a celebrity and I need to sample the goods that are in the room. And I'm sorry. This is, I've never been here before. It's my first time. I don't want to be a rookie at this. I want to learn how to be my thing, and then I'll come back to you. I'll come back because I love you, girl. I love you.
Oh man.
I'm not condoning his behavior whatsoever. Just don't get that twisted. But I'm just saying I understand.
So how did you feel about the way that they wove that storyline into the film?
Well, I mean, it's tough, right? Because their chemistry, I don't know. It's like they had chemistry, but they were like friends. And I think that's why the flashbacks of them younger and how they met, they were friends first, right?
Yeah.
And so, when your partner, it should be, they quote unquote, my friend for life. And this is my friend, my best friend, whatever. If that's the case, then I think they were always friends first, right? And then they found love or a relationship or an understanding through that. And so I think that's what you saw, right? Because it wasn't like, oh, girl, it was like, I need you to be with me in the band because you bring the best out of me and what I do. You don't make me the best dad. No, you don't do that at all. But you make me the best musician, right? And I need to understand that. And that's when I'm in that kind of mindset, I'm ready to give my all to everyone. And you know what? That's got to be hard for, what they really need to do is make a film or a talk show, a movie for all the wives and women of the biggest stars of all time and hear their story, because we don't really ever get to hear like what they had to. Now you just seen Priscilla. They did a movie about her for Elves. But to really understand what it feels like to be, you're not even like the second, third person in line. You're like way, way back because all these things happen, but you're that support system for them, right? And you're the one that either drives them and motivates them and keeps them on an even keel sometimes. And so it's really interesting to see how strong those women are. Some of the most, I mean, listen, we can go back to MLK. I mean, shoot, he won doing some, do you want to see what MLK was doing? I'm talking about it. That's what I'm saying. I was like, well, they didn't do that. I was like, okay, everybody was stepping out. Not saying it was right. It happened. But the point is, that's not the point. It's what they did for the culture and for the people. And so that is 10 times bigger than any adultery that they've done. Listen, as long as you ain't messing no kids, you're all right. That's it. That's my.
And so your question to me earlier, what was something that I didn't really know about his story that really stood out to me? And that was interesting. It was the connection between him and his wife that was built when they were younger. And I think a huge part of it that they kind of depicted in the film was that both of them were kind of, I don't want to say orphaned, but left by their family in Jamaica because their families left for America, but couldn't take all of their kids. So they were like, you got to stay. I'm going to America. I'm taking your brothers and sisters, but you got to stay. So it was interesting that was
Bob had a choice. Bob had a choice. He could have went. He was like, no, this is my home.
Yeah, but their families were all fleeing Jamaica because there was so much turmoil there and there was so much violence. So their families were leaving and going to the States, and they both were kind of left behind. And I think that was a huge part of their connection and bond too. And they kind of found, peace and safety in each other. And I love that they showed that like journey for them as teenagers into adulthood, or like as young people into adulthood and into finding music together.
Let's talk about so Bob was playing soccer one day and he gets stomped on his foot. the foot, this big toe never heals, and so he goes to see a doctor. I don't have the scientific name, but words, he has skin cancer basically, and so they want to chop off the big toe, or he's gonna die from cancer. Rob, are you chopping off the toe, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think,
what do you like? Do you like to play? Do you play sports?
Yeah, I mean, I was a runner. I ran track.
You're a runner, so you can't run, Rob. So, okay, so we understand this. You can't run. I think in his mind, he was like, "I love to play soccer. If I can't play that anymore, you might as well kill me." So, Rob, I'm just saying, would you like knowing that was a way? Like, I love music, but that's another way to like. Remember, he was doing his jogs every morning, and I don't know if they purposely did that to show like, hey, he loves just getting out and feeling the people and feeling the energy. And so I guess you literally are cutting off his legs despite his face. You know, it's like that's how he felt. Like, if I have to do this, I'm not me anymore, right? And so are you willing to sacrifice not being able to do that anymore at a higher level for you to live longer? Are you really living? That's what I thought in that.
Yeah, listen, I think sacrifice the toe to live, to do other things. Like playing soccer in a field with your friends, to me, is not like grounds to end your life. So I get you enjoy soccer, but it's not like he was, messy or like playing soccer.
He looked good. He looked good out there. I don't know what the fuck.
While I'm saying he may have been good, he wasn't playing like for the.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was professional.
Like livelihood. He would play soccer on his free time with his friends and his family. Like that was what you did on the side. I think music was like the focal point of his life. Plus, he has like 80 kids. Like, I think cut off your toe and stay in the world for these people and stay in the world for the greater good of what you're doing for, with your music.
Yeah, it felt like there was a little bit of selfishness there. And I don't want to call him, I don't want to call Bob Marley, but like that, and maybe that was his outlet, right? Of like, hey, the way I channel all this energy, I need to do my runs every morning, right? With my group. I need to go play soccer. It just helps ground me. And sometimes when you take the thing that grounds you as a human being away, can I get back to that? I'm not myself anymore. So I don't know. It was a very like, bro, all you gotta do is step with your toe and that's it.
Oh, cut the toe off. Just cut the toe off. And I think I don't know if it was religious and cultural too, because it was kind of like, I'm not gonna cut the toe off. I'm good. And they're like, cut the toe off or you might not live. Like, no, I'm good. I think, Black people, like, we'll put some testing on it. We'll be
that's what I'm saying. And that's what I was like, that is so us in such a nutshell. It's like, man, I didn't even think he was going to go to the hospital, right? He was like, you got to go to the hospital. He was like,
he didn't want to go.
Yeah, he didn't want to go. And that's also the belief of what medicine does, like what was going on at that time. I mean, listen, I was born a year later, and I'm like, I can't even imagine. Like, I think about my dad, and I think about any Black man that lived in the 70s and had to deal with just like surviving, number one, and just like trying to make it, let alone getting a job and doing all this other stuff. And and then their first trip to London, it was like, hey, we're gonna lock you up. It was like we just got here. Did not just hanging out.
That was crazy. That was
right?
crazy.
I was like, that's it. We're literally just hanging out. And I remember like I used to work in the fitness industry. And one of the trainers was an old school cat. And I remember I was telling him about the Central Park 5. I was like, oh, did you see the movie on Netflix? She's like, brother, I don't need to see that movie. I lived it. I was like, oh, like old school. He's like, I lived that. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, listen, man, they used to just grab you up on the street. They didn't care. And they put you in a lineup. And then you see, hey, someone picks you out. That's it. That's your ass. I'm like, what? He's like, that was it. That was the way it was back then. And I was like, that just blows my mind. Blows my mind. I would have never left the house. Never. I said never. Never.
That's what I keep saying. Like it's kind of scary that like the history of what really happened to Black people, and not just Black people, people of color, and like throughout history is kind of going away because there's one taking everything out of the educational system, but and the limitation of information now with everybody focused on like what's current and like hip hop or watching TikTok to get their information. That's why I was like, making movies like this to me is so important. I hope we keep doing it. I hope we keep finding legends or icons in our culture that we can, tell their stories. So it's imprinted in film forever. I want more of this. I'm excited. I loved it. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, and that's why I think I mentioned this another show that we had. I was like, people should like really sit down with their parents and have a conversation about like what they've experienced, because if we don't even realize how close we are to our parents, like being integrated into school and things like that, and getting the history and culture and story and experience of our family so that it's imprinted in our brain or written down is I think paramount. We have to do it. So I love that they made this movie, and I love learning about the history of what Bob Marley stood for, what he went through, the journey that it took him, the journey he went through to become Bob Marley. It was very, very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, and that's a valid point, man. I wish there was, like, I almost want to like a channel, like talk to the old people and just, you know what I'm saying? Just to let you know what happened back then. And again, that's all I thought about after this. It was like, oh, I wonder what it was like to see Bob live, right? You know, like you think about people fainting to see MJ. Like imagine seeing Bob back in the day. You know, coming in Jamaica, like you know, it's like
it's almost crazy to think about the fact that he died in what, like 1982 and he was only 86, but he was only 36 years. It's kind of crazy to think about it, because when you hear his music, it still feels like present. It feels modern. It feels current. It feels important now. It feels like it feels current. So it's kind of weird to think that we were probably babies when he passed. We were young when he passed away, but his music left such an imprint on me in my life that it felt like he was like there, like he was a part of my like coming up. I don't know. It's kind of strange to think about the fact that he died in like the 80s.
Yeah, but again, it's revolutionary, right? It's war is always war. You know, it's like he picked songs that will be forever, unfortunately, in our life. You know, in terms of like we will always deal with not being loved. You know, war, recognition. You know, understanding the politics of everything. You know, unfortunately, that's just what the makeup is of this world right now that we're in, and he really reminded you that solace that we I guess especially nowadays are so hard to find. Yeah, thank you, D. Timeless music. Yes, it's just one of those things. Like, you know, I can remember where I was when I heard that song, right? And Bob, it doesn't matter where Bob can put you. You can have 10 million. That one song of Bob can give you 10 memories, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I first heard it. Although I remember, we were at the Rock hanging out. Oh, that was, and then we out. You know, it's like, and it's just a good vibe and good energy. It's very rare, especially with the music nowadays, that you have. I miss good R&B too. I'm just sorry, I'm on a tangent right now. But I miss that, and that's what I love. I actually downloaded the Exodus album because I had another Bob Marley album, and I was listening to the car, and now I got the convertible down here in Miami. So I was like, okay, listen to a little Exodus. Music for the people. All right.
You know, I had to compose myself in the theater. Unfortunately, I
was singing in the theater. I was singing.
But I went to a late show, and there was only me and one couple behind me, and I was like, let me not be screaming out the lyrics and interrupt these people's experience of this film. But it was that kind of an experience. It was really good. It was amazing that you got to sit in there and like watch his journey and still participate, and like the nostalgia of his music would hit you anytime a song that was like, you know, important to you, or like you said, like you can remember where you were when you had that experience. Like those songs brought back so many memories, and I just really thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know what else to say.
Like I said, you're right. And what I love is that everybody in the theater, at least when I got out of the theater, like everybody was happy. Everybody was great. Like it was a good energy and good film. The only thing, if I am to knock it for anything, I didn't get maybe I was such in a good high mood in terms of like it was such an uplifting movie that I didn't cry, and I miss sometimes, or that tear, that moment of like, oh, we're because I guess they didn't show us lose him, but there was something, it was still a sad story at the end. Yeah. But I guess because I didn't see the loss, I saw him bring it more people together, and then I had to live vicariously through the old footage they showed, and I was like, oh man, that's a beautiful moment. Like, stay a little bit after the movie's over because they show you clips from that actually happened in real life, and that's a beautiful moment to see him. He's a little guy, by the way. The guy who played him was like 6'3", and he's 5'6". But anyway,
I think to the point that's probably how they wanted you to walk away from the film, right? They didn't want you to walk away like broken from watching him die at the end. They wanted you to walk away feeling the spirit of like togetherness and joy and love, because that's what he was, preaching. So I don't know. I think it served its purpose and it did what it was supposed to do. Like I did not have a tearful experience, but like you said, but I walked away smiling when I walked out of the theater, especially when they showed the archival footage of him. And it really did like make your heart smile. So I think that's what they wanted you to walk away with, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I really, sometimes you want to leave on like your memory, and a happy moment is better than a sad one, I think.
Yeah, like that very last experience we get is like him really dancing around on the stage in the way that he would do it. So
let's talk about that. So Kingsley has to take on a tough role. I guess he doesn't sing the music, right? I guess when he played the guitar, that was live. But let's talk about how accurate he was. Like when I tell you it's tough. No. Just him. Yeah, him speaking like sounding like Bob, but also the moves on the stage. I was like, and then you see the footage later, like, okay, he was wilding out. He was there. People don't understand when you're over 6 feet. I'm 5'10". I have a lot of friends that are over 6 feet. They don't move gracefully. It's very, your hands and your body doing stuff. Whereas if you're a little bit lower to the ground, it's easy. So I'm gonna give him extra points. Any star I may take away from this, I'm gonna give him points because he's a big body, just flailing and feeling the music. So I'm gonna take my hat off.
I thought Kingsley did a great job. I thought, listen, I'm not Jamaican, so I can't really, claim to give a rating on his perfecting the accent, but I thought he did a great job. I thought the dialect was great. I thought his depiction of Bob Marley was great. Like you said, the physicality of him,
the mannerisms were like on point.
Was great. I think he did what he was supposed to do with that performance. So kudos to him.
And shout out. I mean, listen, the pressure of the world is on you on that. Listen. I don't like seeing Kingsley's face normal. He's very sorry. It's my own personal opinion. Sorry. He's just weird. It's just weird. But he's a canvas, right? And so when he played Malcolm, that was beautiful in a night in Miami. He was amazing in that, and he does another amazing role here. And I kind of love give him a wig, do whatever you got to do, and he can become whoever he wants to become. But when you see him normally do an interview, I'm like, oh, brother, stop talking to me. I don't want to. I'm serious. I'm like, no, you don't. Oh, you don't. But again, he should only do the interviews as Bob. That's what he should have done. That's what he should have done. I saw an interview the other day. I was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well, I hope he gets his just due and some recognition and some acknowledgement and some nominations or whatever he should get for this film, because I thought he did a great job.
No, he did. Shout outs to him. All right. Anything else you want to add, Rob, before we tie this with a pretty bow?
Yeah, I know, like we talked about earlier, a lot of people have been really harsh in their critique of this film, which is fair. I think you should be harsh in your critique of film, watch film, enjoy it for what it is and have your opinions on it. But make sure you see it first, because I know a lot of people are making comments about the film and they haven't seen it yet. So give it a chance, go see it, support the film, because I think it was a really good depiction and told a great story, and his family supported it. So support the actors who are a part of it, because the family did.
And if you get a chance to see Ziggy live or any of the Marleys, I mean, listen, it's worth the price. It wasn't even that expensive. It was a great show. I literally saw him outside. It was the best experience possible. So that is the closest thing you're going to get to Bob at this point. So definitely, if you have a chance, check him out. The energy was amazing. Actually, one of the Wailers is one of the guys in the movie, so one of the part of the band. So that was a beautiful moment too. Look at the cast; really well done, all around a great movie. Okay, so this is the point of the show where we ask Rob, the big question: What and Rob, what you gonna give the show? What you gonna give the movie tonight, Robin? What you gonna give it?
We have to score it.
You didn't score anything last week. Yeah, we got.
Didn't. Okay.
You didn't score anything last week. You gave a score 1 to 10 at a scale of 1 to 10. Robin, what you giving it?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Okay. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8?
Yeah, an 8 out of 10.
Wow, I did not see that, ladies and gentlemen. I did not see an 8 coming out of Robin. I thought he was gonna go 10 all day. We should have side bets on this. Really?
The only reason I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 is I did want to see a little bit more on the front end and the back end of the story. I wanted to see a little bit more. I think the film was only like an hour and 40 minutes. They had another.
Yeah, that was the quickest movie I've ever been.
Yeah, it was really quick. I think they had another.
Previews were longer than the movie. I'm like hour 27. All right, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, so I think they could have added a little bit more to the story on the front and the back end of it. That's the only thing I take away from it. Like you said too, I did want to see a little bit more performance-wise of some of the big hits. So I don't know. That's the only things that I would take away. But I did love that they infused all the music into the story. It didn't have to be on stage. Sometimes it was in the studio. Sometimes it was in the comfort of their home and he's writing the music or, sitting around a fire with his kids singing. So we got to experience a lot of the hits, but I think we only saw him perform on stage like twice in the film. So those will be the only things I take away from it. And the symbolism of the man on the horse, that was supposed to be Jamaica, right? That wasn't his father. It was Jamaica. The man on the horse was Jamaica.
That was deep.
Because he was running from.
Yeah, and then at the end, he gives him the thing at the end. Yeah,
he was running from the.
In the beginning, I was like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, because he was running from the flames, and
that's one thing I didn't know. I didn't know his dad was white.
Yeah.
I learned that in the movie.
And then in the end, we see him say, I'm with you, you're home or whatever. So I was like, oh, that's supposed to be Jamaica. Oh, got it. So I like that symbolism too. So I thought that was beautifully done. That little piece of symbolism that they put in there. It was great. So overall, 8 out of 10.
All right. Hey, listen, I'm shocked just as you are, people. I saw Rob giving 10s on that one, but he 8 out of 10. All right. A little picky sometimes, Robert. He's a little picky. Yeah.
When you pick good films, you always pick good films. When you pick the bad ones, I'll give out a 2. I will, but you keep picking good ones.
You don't give out 2s, you just don't comment.
I think I gave a 2 to that Christmas movie.
You just don't comment. I was told we shouldn't be commenting on bad films. We just say positive things, find positive things no matter what.
Nope. We can give a 2 if a 2 is.
All right. So Rob will be going to the Oscars this weekend and enjoying himself. So good luck, have fun. Who's hosting?
Hold on. D just said the inspiration and life behind the music similar to Whitney's last movie. See, I love a good biopic. Yes, absolutely.
I didn't see Whitney's.
I wanted to dance with somebody.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll add that to the list and we'll watch it and review it.
Did you see it, Rob?
Yeah. No, I didn't. But thank you.
I knew you didn't see it. I knew for sure you didn't see it. Listen. We should give honorable mentions out in movies. Yeah, we'll do that. 1 month, 1 week, we'll just do a throwback. We should have reviewed, and we'll do that. Mea Culpa is out on Netflix. It's already been out now for, I think, like 2 weeks now. I don't know if you want to do I don't know.
We're going to do some Kelly Rowland and some Tyler Perry.
Kelly Rowland looking good. I was like, okay, Kelly, what are we doing here? Getting in trouble.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll have that. I'll find something else. We'll make it happen. But anyway, have fun, enjoy, take a lot of pictures. Can you take a picture of Samuel Jackson if it's possible? Because my aunt took a picture of Samuel Jackson recently, and I was like, I'm glad I didn't talk trash. I was going to be like, oh, you going to do that? I was like, oh, wait till you see me. I'm going to get a picture with Samuel this weekend, and I'm not. So anyway, if you could do that, please. Yeah, Kelly was great. There'll
be other events coming up. So
yeah, other events.
Sorry, Ro. I apologize.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Slightly.
It's being black in America.
Are you gonna rate the film?
What?
Are you?
You took my score. I was gonna give it 8 as well. Yeah. Again, the only thing for me was the music. I wanted more like where the juice and the energy from it and where it came from and again they just gave you a little like spread like a little squirt of like and the Whalers and then we got picked up in this shack in the corner and he liked our one song and now I'm like, come on, give me something, give me some more stuff. But anyway, I like the film. I would highly recommend it. Check it out. It's in theaters now. Support. Oh, I think you can do that somewhere. Yes. Anyway, it doesn't work on my end.
Yeah, you just gotta hold it up for a second.
I have all these Apple products. Nothing. Apple Watch, Apple thing, Apple that, Apple this, Apple no, Apple somebody.
Go a little further back and just hold it up by your face.
Back. I'm holding this.
Now put it by the window so you can. So the computer. No. Now over. Yep. Okay. Right there. So go up a little bit. Maybe it doesn't like you. Apple doesn't like you, Ro.
God darn it. Okay. Anyway, thank you all our viewers tonight. Appreciate you, Martha D. Val. Hello. All right. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week. And hopefully we'll have some. Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're also gonna interview Rob on his Oscar trip and see how he enjoyed it. Maybe have some pics, Rob, and show what you had on.
Yeah, we'll throw some stuff up.
You gonna wear a tie this year? Or you gonna still just leave that open?
Probably not.
Sad.
Probably not.
All right. Anyway, thank you.
Peace.
I'm sorry.